And welcome to another edition of Cubs on Tap. I am your host tonight, Ron Luce. Found himself in the bleachers at Wrigley Field, brought home a win. I am joined tonight by the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Nick Hudson. Cubs win 2-1 behind a good performance from the bullpen, the starting pitching as well. Kyle Hendricks was pretty fantastic for 5 innings. Really, I thought was a confidence builder for the future. And the bullpen did not do bullpen things as it has in the past. As you know, when we do these Cubs on Taps and I am the host, anything can happen, as I am the type that likes to go down the rabbit hole. And tonight I'm with Nick. Nick, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well, man. Had a good, relaxing, but active Memorial weekend. Hope everyone enjoyed it, including you. I'm starting to do a lot better now that this Cubs team's heating up and heating up against a great team. I mean, this is the Rays we're talking about. So it's feeling good and it's completely unexpected as well, to be honest.
Yeah, expect the unexpected. The Cubs have taken the first two of this series, and Scott from Iowa mentions Madrigal hit a home run today in Iowa, so anything is possible. I was going back and forth with Voice Cohen on Twitter about it, said, I don't believe it's true. He called me out on it. It is true, Scott, so I'm sure maybe you even saw it while you were down there. But, Nick, we're talking a Cubs win tonight, which fantastic. 2 nights in a row. We didn't have to do the whole blow it up or trade Marcus Stroman talk. Tonight we can sit and talk about a Cubs win against a very good team with the opportunity tomorrow to sweep one of the best teams in baseball. What were your initial thoughts on tonight's game?
Yeah, I mean, overall, I'm just real happy with it. The happy part for me is definitely Hendricks. I like how you said that that's a confidence booster for the future. I really look for Hendricks to be someone that can not put the team on their back per se, but be that solid arm that we need as a starter, give us some innings. And tonight, man, he had that changeup working. So he worked with the changeup majority. Sinker was a secondary, but I like how he sprinkled in some fastballs, especially in counts where they were not expecting a fastball. And that's something that he has to do with his pitches. He's not going to overpower you, and we all know that. So that was great. I love to see Nico jump right out of the gate with that offensive boom right out of the gate. That was great. So it was just overall it was refreshing. Like you said, we don't have to talk about the negatives of this Cubs team, and it feels like, can we get some momentum going in the right way? We shall see.
Yeah, I loved what you talked about we're going to start this show by just talking about Kyle Hendricks to start. I loved what you said about his fastball. You know, he really kind of used it, as I like to call, like the lefty way, throw it inside on right-handers. I thought he was able to get underneath the hands of a lot of the hitters for the Rays tonight, and it made them less likely to jump out on that changeup or that stuff away. As you talk about the sinker, he likes to work back from outside, out in that outside corner of the plate. I thought by him going up and in, it kept them honest. And when he has that inside fastball control, he can run it in and make it look like a strike that ends up more on that inside corner with that fastball run that he has, going left to right. And then with the left-handed bats, they're always constantly seeing that changeup and that sinker away. All the stuff that he can throw is moving down and away from the barrel of the bat. I think it's what makes him so, effective. When he has that fastball, he can play off, and hitters can't just lean out in front and take that. I feel like so many times when we watch him and he's going bad, it's the outside pitch that they're able to just sit on, and they're not worried about anything inside, and they're taking everything down the line or into the power alleys. But I loved what you said about, with the fastball, being able to jam hitters in, I thought was a key for him tonight.
Yeah, and I like what you said. They're getting it in on the hands, and that's going to be key, especially with a lineup with this type of bat speed. The Rays, they're quick, and like you said, this could have gone a lot different for Hendricks if he's not landing his other pitches. you can jump on that changeup. We've seen it in the past, unfortunately, with Hendricks. If you don't have the other pitches going, the changeup looks like a beach ball, and it didn't happen tonight. And that is a great sign with this lineup. This lineup is not to be understated. It is a very good lineup. Each one of that's the spots, and it's difficult to navigate. It really is. And for him to navigate through 5 innings, it's great. And this is his second start back, so it's great to see.
Yeah, I think you're definitely going to get a little bit of that like spring training, early April Hendricks for a little bit now. And I think over the course of his first 2 starts, I think we could both probably say they've been more positive than negative. There's been a lot of times where you watch and you're like, man, he really does have that Kyle Hendricks stuff of old. Back with a little bit of that velocity, kind of thrown more towards 89, 88, it makes such a difference for him. I think that we've talked about it several times here. When he was throwing 85 and not feeling himself, that changeup is near ineffective. The change in speeds is just not there. And either way, the different movement that he gets, the tailing away, the tailing down, the straight drop kind of movement that he's able to get differently on that changeup, I think is something that, we've kind of seen over the course of this first couple starts for him. And I know he's going to get more and more healthy as he goes, but I think you put it the best way. Just be a guy who eats innings, a guy who can take the ball and give you 5-6 quality every day. I think would be really important, considering the fact that for a long time over the course of this season, the Cubs are really only getting quality starts from 3 positions on this pitching rotation.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a great point. And this is the type of brand of baseball that you have to have some quality starts that we want to play and we're built to play. Good defense, win these close run games. And this is a good sign for this Cubs team to edge one out again. I'd like to see some more opportunities converted. I'm sure we can get into that later, but there were some men left on base. There were some opportunities there that I really would have seen at least one run to be converted there. It would have been better, obviously. But I think overall things are trending in the right direction. But with Kyle Hendricks, what you said about the velocity, that's dead on. He needed that extra couple ticks, and it has made a difference so far. And I hope he can continue to keep that up. And I think he will. Like you said, this is like his spring training time right now. So soon you should see a jump in quality. But for right now, if he's giving you what he's giving you, it's a solid arm that you need right now.
Yeah, I think him getting through 5 was huge tonight, but definitely not overshadowed by what the bullpen did today. Before we jump into that, I want to talk a little David Ross with you, because I actually really enjoyed the way he managed the bullpen in today's game, considering the fact that Kyle Hendricks pitched today. He goes to Kyle Hendricks after that. He throws in Julian Mayweather to go ahead for an inning. Mark Leiter Jr. gets some run there, and then he finishes the game with Alzolay for the 2-inning save. Did you like the fact that he brought in Mayweather, and what are you seeing for him? Because there's been a lot of, I think, unneeded Twitter hate going towards Mayweather, because he's been very solid over the course. I think it's his last 10, 11 starts.
Yeah, and I think yeah, exactly. And you make a great point with how he set it up tonight. That's the key with Merriweather. I liked him in that spot. I wouldn't want to see him in a high leverage role a little later in the game where you're sweating a little bit more, but he's earned the spot to come in and hold things down, hold down the fort early on and get you to your higher leverage guys. So I definitely don't have a problem with that at all. And I really like that he saw what Azalea had and just let him go. That's perfect. That's what I want out of a manager, not to be, scared of what's to come if there's too many pitches here. Just go win the game in that moment. That's what I like in a manager. And I think, David Ross, he does get a lot of unnecessary hate at times. Sometimes it is, but it's just not tonight. I agree with you. I like the way he managed the bullpen, and they made it easy. They all came out and pitched well.
Yeah, I think in the old adage, right, that a manager can look really bad really easily when a bullpen is bad, right? I mean, when you don't got anybody to turn to after 6 quality innings and you're winning a game, it's really tough to not look like an idiot when guys are giving up crooked numbers in innings left and right. I want to kind of ask you the opinion because this kind of ties in within our bullpen conversation. And today, a roster move was made to bring up Hayden Wesneski. Hayden obviously pitched out of the rotation to start the year, went down to Iowa, and now he's back. And by all things said by David Ross in the front office, he's going to contribute out of the bullpen for the foreseeable future because they're just looking for help. They're looking for guys to fill some innings to get the best arms out there. You think this is a good move? They did say, and they prefaced with all of that with saying the plan is to have him be a starter in the future.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
is this something you're a fan of? Because every time they've brought up a guy like this, with the exception to Justin Steele, they've kind of ended up back in the bullpen. And I mean, Elzele, Keegan Thompson, Leiter pitched as a starter for a little bit and then was brought down. I know that it's a small sample size, but I just want your opinion on Hayden. I know his stuff's going to play really well out of the bullpen, but is this a situation where they're sacrificing development for maybe a few wins here or there? And if that's the case, what does it matter if you're not contending?
Sure. Yeah, you bring up some great points there. I think it's okay for right now. I think the key is duration. How long are you going to be doing this? And they did preface it with he will be a starter. But the longer you keep him in the bullpen, if he starts to fail in there, you're talking about killing the kid's confidence. And that is a developmental stunt. And we've seen it in the past. They have done that in the past. And it's not worth a couple extra wins, in my opinion. However, he needs a soft landing. He had some pretty rough outings here in the majors, and he needs a soft landing. So if he does come out of the bullpen, and I do think his stuff will play, he could be a key guy. He could be someone that we do need moving forward. And if we start to put some wins together, we are in a terrible division, so it doesn't matter. If we start to put some wins together and he ends up being someone that can be a high leverage guy, that's a really big asset to a team. It's hard to get high leverage guys in the circle of trust. So could he be that guy? He could. So it's a really tough thing because how long are you going to let him do this? Even if he ends up being a great bullpen arm, when do you say, well, now we need to make this transition, and how are we going to even make the transition?
And two, I don't want another situation where you end up with a Keegan Thompson where he needs extra days off. We all saw the splits that when he had 3 or 4 days off opposed to pitching back-to-backs. The key is he's never done this before out of the pen. Can he pitch back-to-back days? You're already carrying so many 3-inning guys on this roster right now that you're worried about pitching back-to-back. And if you're going to put another one out there, it worries me just a bit that we'll be in the same spot we're talking about Keegan, where it's like he runs out of gas or he can't do the back-to-back day. And yeah, having that guy who can pitch 3 innings in a game is very, very valuable. But in the case of, the next day, he's a roster spot that you can't use. There are guys who are in the league who can pitch 2 innings and then come back and get you an out or get you a couple outs the next day. I worry that with his training as a major leaguer so far of pitch, off days, recovery, side sessions, it's totally different when you become a bullpen pitcher. That throws off maybe development, that throws off maybe the confidence in the arm. Maybe he thinks he can throw extra days, but he can't. This this is a really risky, odd move for them. And if I'm all for them using Hayden to piggyback Hendricks on Hendricks days where you feel like he can only go 5 as this is going in, but I think the problem becomes like you just don't know what you're getting out of this guy because he's never done it, and he's taking a roster spot at that point.
Yeah, 100%. I think you're right with it is a risky move. And a risk and a gamble, sometimes it does pay off. But you bring up a good point. Those 3 inning guys, how many are you going to have? And will he become that, or will he be, like you said, able to bounce back a little quicker? Who knows? For me personally, if I had my choice, I would just keep him down, let him keep pitching on regular, rest, and just keep seeing innings and work and developing. But if they see something that they think, okay, this is going to play well, or we really need this, who am I to argue? But at the same time, I agree. I think it's risky. And personally, I don't take big risks, so I wouldn't be taking that risk.
Yeah, I agree with you. You got to look at the bullpen tonight and give him a tip of the cap, and hopefully this whole Hayden Wisniewski thing does work out for them. Because if that's the case, then you've added another high leverage arm to the bullpen, and he has that competitive fire. Scott from Iowa just jumping into the comments here, saying that Merriweather, I'm sure that's what he meant, has only given up 3 runs since April 18th. Yeah, he's been absolutely fantastic. I think that's a guy that we may see in this tryout phase get a little bit more high leverager situations. I know tonight was a very nice soft landing with him coming out of a tie ball game, but when you start to do that, you start to put yourself into better positions to where maybe you're trusted in a 7th and 8th inning. But yeah, you have any final thoughts, Nick, on the bullpen? Anything
Sure.
with the pitching before we move over to the lineup?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, holds are very important as well. If you can hold it down right there and let your offense get back out there, especially after the offense puts a lot of guys on base and has a good inning, holds are very valuable. So that gets you into higher leverage spots. So I think that we will start to see him in more higher leverage.
Let's hope so, because the Cubs need to figure out this back end of the bullpen before they even consider buying at the or buying at the deadline or anything like that. But yeah, we're going to jump over to the lineup side of it. Not much offense to show for tonight's game, but you talked about Nico Horner jumping on pitch 1 tonight from McClanahan. What an awesome way to start the game. Our boy Ron Luce was out in the bleachers right in front of it. I wish I had the picture to pull up, but if you go over to Cubs on Tap, you could find him right in front of one of our buddies here at Cubs on Tap who caught the home run as well. I'm blanking on the Twitter name, but I'm going to let you talk about Nico Horner to start while I pull up a little bit of data on who caught this baseball.
Heck yeah. I mean, having a fire starter like that at the top of the lineup is so valuable. I mean, it's been so great to have him back. And to me, it's been night and day difference in the lineup and the feel of a game. But that's so important with a team like that, having the Rays. You need to get on them. You need to start the pressure early on. You can't let them get settled. A team like the Rays gets settled and they're just going to steamroll you over. So the credit to him for just I think he probably had a scouting report there, decided to just pull the trigger on the first pitch. I'm all for that. I am a guy that when I used to play baseball, did not take the first pitch very often. I was always swinging. I was always aggressive because I think, that's probably the best pitch you're going to see for a while in that at bat. So it's great to see him jump on that pitch and get the game started on a great note.
Yeah, I found the young man who caught tonight's baseball. That's Alex Gonzalez, all week Gonzo, right in front of Ron Luce. What an awesome ball game that was. Ron does great work over here. He needed a night off, and that's why you have the Juice and Nick show tonight. But yeah, no, I think too, like you brought up a great point about jumping that first pitch, especially against, starters like McClanahan, right? Guys, you don't want them to get settled in. You don't want them to be comfortable. You want to come out and you want to be able to, put a run on the board real early, because even if they do settle in, you've got something on the board, and now you can start working at bats. I thought that they worked the count really well today, and that was something that I believe in the Mets series that I'd said to Ron that I think that that's the way that this Cubs team needs to do. They got to work the counts better. They got to get in. There is no such thing as a fastball count anymore, but the favorable 3-1s, 2-0s, 2-1s again, because it seems like oftentimes this team's falling behind. They're in that 1-2 hole, or they're in that 0-1 hole so early that you're getting a bunch of junk at that point, a lot of stuff that's outside the zone. And let's just be honest here. If you look up and down this lineup, there's a lot of 4A guys. There's a lot of, guys that are making their debut here in the majors and very jumpy at the baseball. Guys like Christopher Morel and Matt Mervis, who are very much free swingers. It's been a frustrating go for them over the course of, this run. And Morel is obviously very solid, but he strikes out pretty often. And Mervis has been striking out at a large clip too. But I think that that's the way they win. Start working more walks, start getting into those favorable counts, get that pitch count up on guys, and get into that bullpen. Because obviously every manager knows that regardless of if a guy is great out of the pen or not, it's a comfort thing. It's having it every day is just not a possibility. So anytime you can make a manager use 4 guys that he doesn't know what he's getting when it comes out of the bullpen, it's a win. And that shows more and more over the course of the series. If you're able to get into a bullpen and get to that last guy on the roster who's, the 24th, 25th, 26th man on the roster who's, doing his best to stay in the big leagues and, has good stuff, but maybe he leaves things over the plate. You never know at that point. And that's how you're able to kind of win some baseball games. And other than that, tonight, there was just one other run, and it was essentially on an error. Ian Happ pops up, a little miscommunication between the right fielder and the second baseman. He hustling out of the box. Got to give Ian Happ tons of dap for that. A lot of guys, they pop it up like that, loaf it over to first. They don't end up on second, but nope, not Ian. He respects 90 and was able to get over to second base, and they were manufacturing a run. But I want to talk a little bit about a man on this roster that over the course of this series is showing at least a little bit of, do you keep him on when a guy comes back? And that's Mr. Tauchman. Tauchman with 2 key RBIs in this series tonight with the single, and he manufactures the only run yesterday with the fly-out sac fly. What are your opinions on him? I know that this was a guy that in our pre-show, Joey picked to make the roster, and he didn't, and now he came back, and he's okay. He's not – he's one of those guys that you can count as that 4th outfielder. I just want your opinion on him. And when Belly comes back, do you think he's carved out a spot for himself?
Yeah, I mean, it's real tough to say right now. He's looked good. He's seeing the ball real well. 4th outfielder, definitely in the conversation, but he's seeing the ball real well. Tonight, like you said, manufacturing runs, just to take a pitch and go the other way with it like he did and just drop it in. That's so important. And like I said before, the brand of baseball the Cubs play, that's something you have to be doing. You have to be manufacturing runs. You have to respect 90, like you said. And that's what I like about this Cubs team. You would be absolutely shocked if you saw a guy just not hustling out of the box on a pop. These Cubs, they want to win. They like baseball. That's what I've always said. They like to play the game of baseball. So I like to see that. And like you said, manufacturing runs, it's super important. And Tauchman's showing you that he can do that. He can go into that spot and do that. And if he continues to do real well, I mean, he came into this hitting 308, I think. So he doesn't want to go back to AAA.
No, he doesn't. And I think that in the space that they have with the DH, there may be a spot where he can carve out a role. It'll be interesting, Belly comes back, and there's a lot of guys who can move around within this lineup and play the outfield positions. Guys like Morel, we've seen Mancini play. right field, and we've also seen Wisdom trot out there when he's needed. So there really isn't a need for a fourth outfielder on this roster, but I'll tell you what is going to keep him around, and it's 2-out hits. This guy, if he's able to be a guy who is in the lineup and continue to get 2-out hits, you can find a spot for him on your bench to come in and almost like that Nick, we were going to talk a little bit earlier on. We talked about Nick Madrigal breaking the internet with a homer, but Nick Madrigal was that guy, right? He was that guy who came in and he could give you a good pinch hit at bat. You knew you were getting the contact from it, putting the ball in play. And it seems like this kid can do that a little bit. He at least has some of the, the right idea, the right approach at the plate to go the other way, to not do too much, just dump out singles down there, because sometimes that's all you need to score runs.
Yeah, 100% right there. It is all you need. And sometimes small ball wins it. I mean, that's the thing. This Cubs team was built to play small ball. So if you have a guy like that, like you said, what you wish Nick Madrigal would have been off the bench coming in to a spot that can give you a good at bat, see a lot of pitches, put a lot of stress on the pitcher there. You're talking about, yeah, you could probably find a spot for him. But he's got to keep it up and he's got to show for a long period of time. Consistency is a thing that lacks with this Cubs team. And I want to see guys that stay consistent. And I mean, Suzuki's been pretty consistent.
Yeah, it's been good to see him kind of turn his season around. I think, and I talked about this with Ron too. The oblique injury, I think, is something that very much is something that lingers. And it could be a long time before you feel comfortable with your body to take full reps. And I think what we're seeing from him now is that he is getting comfortable. He is getting that, his sea legs per se, I think in a lot of ways too, because he didn't have a full, spring training. And this lineup desperately misses Cody Bellinger though, right? I mean, you just look up and down and you're like, man, like, if you just had one more professional hitter, then you think, oh, yeah, we do. We have Cody Bellinger, but he's hurt.
Yeah.
And I can't wait for him to come back, because I feel like he almost completes that lineup to put guys in comfortable positions. He is able to take the burden to be that lefty power within the lineup. Be a guy that you really can't. You gotta think a hitter ahead. Like, hey, I got to get this guy because Belly's on deck and he can take me yard. So maybe a pitcher or a hitter in front of him sees more hittable pitches. It's going to be a nice lineup when Belly gets back, but this lineup in the meantime just needs to do a little bit, just enough to get by. And then let's hope that, when the weather starts to warm and he comes back, the Cubs are scoring runs at crooked numbers, because I think that it's going to be the June month that decides where this Cubs team is at, and if they're going to be contending or if we're going to be watching for development come the next, half of the season after the trade deadline.
Yeah, 100%. And honestly, it's going to be really important the next stretch to see where we end up. But getting back to Suzuki real quick, I think you hit it right on the head. Once he was fully healed, he could take bigger and stronger strokes. So you're going to need that. But Bellinger, man, I miss him too. And every day I look at that lineup, and every day I have a little pain in my heart, because I do miss Bellinger. He is that threat. He's that power threat. Yeah, it's exactly what you said. Someone that in the back of your mind, you're like, I can't walk this guy. It puts the extra pressure on the pitcher to get the guy out before him, and usually that doesn't go well. So it's very important, and it's just one swing. I mean, think about it tonight. There were a lot of guys on base. One swing, and you win this game even easier. So you miss Bellinger definitely, and I think you got to get him back soon, and you got to keep having production out of this lineup. I'm looking to see more hits, more singles, and things strung together. But it's promising. I was very worried that they looked completely dead for a while. So it's promising to see them start to just, I feel like the gears are very slowly starting to move, and maybe we're going to start to click soon. A sweep here would definitely help the momentum going into this trip.
Yeah, it would definitely erase the feelings that you had about the Red Series and a couple of the series before that. It's been a rough May, but before we move on, Nick, I want to give you the floor and ask if you had any final thoughts on the Cubs' 2-1 win tonight against the Rays.
Final thoughts are keep doing it. I mean, happy to see this game go well, especially for Ron Luce out there. He deserves this. So I want to see the Cubs continue to play competitive baseball, stay in these games, especially with good teams like this, and beat up on the bad teams. I mean, what are we doing? Beat up on the bad teams that you know you are better than. So continue the momentum going into this last game, and hopefully we can get the sweep and just continue this train.
Yeah, it'd be really nice to go in, and we're going to move on to tomorrow's ball game. That is a 1:20 start for your Chicago Cubs against the Tampa Bay Rays. Pitchers for tomorrow, friend of the program, Justin Steele, with sporting a 6-2 record, 2.77 ERA with 57 Ks. And he'll go against Mr. Eflin, 7-1 with a 3.17 with 52 strikeouts. Man, it just seems like every time you look at a pitcher for the Rays, it's another good one. Not a lot of history, as Nick and I were talking, besides Dansby Swanson, who's seen Eflin 27 times, 2 home runs, sporting a 407 batting average going into tomorrow. So if he gets enough hacks at Mr. Eflin, he'll be able to hopefully get a hit and hit one into the bleachers tomorrow. Not a lot on the other side for Justin Steele. The Rays probably haven't seen him very much, and if it was a start, it wasn't very many at-bats. A lot of 2 and 1 at-bats only seen from the Rays hitters. Tomorrow's game will be hopefully a sweep for the Cubs. Nick, what are your keys to tomorrow's game, and what are you looking to see from the Cubs this game, and who do you think should fly the W player of the game for tomorrow?
Yeah. I'm hoping to see more converting of runners in scoring position and getting those runners in scoring position. I think Steele will give you another hopefully quality start and give him some run support. Honestly, go out there and score some runs. Eflin is not easy by any stretch of the imagination, but if you can get deep into counts, as you were mentioning before, that's definitely one of the keys. Get deep into the counts. Try to get his pitch count up enough to where they have to make the move to get him out of the game and get into the bullpen. And then once you're there, continue to put the pressure on them. But I definitely want to see timely hitting tomorrow. That's something that was lacking today. There were a lot of opportunities in which a timely hit would have made this game a lot easier. But hopefully we see more of what we've seen out of this bullpen. We, like you said, we got to figure out what's going on with this back end, and hopefully these guys can get some consistency going and give Ross a better picture of how he wants to lay this out so he can avoid some hate. But I think that going into this series tomorrow, or going into this last game tomorrow, is going to be huge to get a momentum win. If you get the sweep, you're talking about great momentum. If you don't, it's still great. You took 2 out of 3 against the Rays. They're not an easy ball team, but with the Reds and that bad taste, I still have it in my mouth. And if they don't, I'm still going to have it. So that's the only thing that's going to erase that for me. I don't know about you.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see Justin Steele bounce back from his 3 2/3 performance against the Reds a couple games ago. Gave up 10 hits and 6 runs. Watch his ERA jump a whole half a run there, which things we don't like to see. But I think there's a good chance tomorrow that we get a good performance out of Justin Steele. He'll be hoping to one-up his counterparts, Mr. Kyle Hendricks and Marcus Stroman. Nick, before we wrap this whole thing up, got to fly the W pick for tomorrow?
I think I'm going to go with a difficult one just because I want to see him go yard. And if he's in the lineup, I want to see just greatness out of him. Patrick Wisdom. We need to see another bomb out of Wisdom. He's right there to get on hot stretch and just crush baseballs. So that's going to be my fly the W player if he's in.
I like it. 2 home runs on Sunday. Hopefully he takes those pitches over the wall. I'm going to go with the guy who's seen F1 a lot, and that's Dansby Swanson. Like I said, 407 batting average, his 2 home runs off of him. Seems to know what his stuff does. Let's just hope that it's a good start from Justin Steele and he gives him a good chance to win tomorrow, which I have faith that they will. Hand it over to the bullpen. And, of course, after that, we'll sing the song from Juice on Tap and Nick Hudson. Cubs on Tap is provided by On Tap Sports Net. We're one of 2 Chicago Cubs podcasts. Make sure you're going over to the Dinger Boys to listen to them. They shoot their show on Mondays. Cubs, Bulls, Bears, Hawks. We got it all. And, of course, as Ron always says, those guys on the south side, we also have a great team who handles over there. Head them over to Sox on Tap. That way they can do their Sox thing over there, as they say, do that hockey. I'm going back to Chance the Rapper and the SNL. Do that hockey. On Tap Sports Net. Head over to www.ontapsportsnet.com for all your sports and literature needs. Nick, this was always fun. It's a good opportunity to get and talk a win with you, buddy. I feel like we've had a very good record when we get on a mic together. Most of the time, it seems like we're talking about a win. Hopefully tomorrow, whoever's panelist it is, whoever is on tomorrow's show is watching and making sure that they bring home a W. Ron Luce, thank you for being out in the bleachers and bringing one home yourself. And thank you to all the listeners for popping in and all the comments. The comment of the night is something that I always like to do. Comes from Scott from Iowa. Can we send Mancini to the moon yet? No, that would be way too expensive, and he's not worth that. But let's just say it would be nice if Matt Mervis would start hitting and we'd get a healthy Bellinger back, because maybe we would see way more of those guys and way less of Mancini. He has been a nightmare. And kind of continued tonight, grounded into a double play with the bases loaded, with a chance to blow that one out. But, hey, baseball's a tough game, and hopefully tomorrow it means that he'll be finding the Wrigley Field bleachers in a win tomorrow. I'm Juice on Tap. He's Nick on Tap. Follow the socials. Make sure you follow Cubs on Tap. And follow all of us here over at Joey Knows Nothing, Mr. Ron Luce on Tap, whatever his tap is. He's tapping, and Mr. Teddy Freddy 270, Mr. Tyler Edmonds, doing the pooping scooping over there down the Pet Supplies poop scoop player of the game. I wonder who he'll pick for tomorrow. He'll probably do one of those videos of him scooping up Rizzo's poop on the way out. But we're going to get out of here the only way we know how, and that is, Nick.
Fuck those disgusting Cardinals.
And let's go, Cubs.